And I'm telling you now folks, the global elites called handheld gaming, like they called Machinima and John F. Kennedy, and Sorry, got a little worked up there.
Moving swiftly on. What's happening, fuckers? We've got quite the show today for you folks. I've got all the documents here. Let's see. Liberals shut down McDonald's ice cream machine. Tucker's face getting smaller, and proof Klaus Schwab pissed in my letterbox. And don't forget we're having a sale, so take advantage of 15% off our patented Gigabrodic beginning pills. And while you're here, let's take a look at Alex Jones' New World Order Wars. And brace yourselves, as with most things Alex Jones, there's going to be screaming. So, let's get into it.
We're gonna defeat this anti-human scum! We're gonna wreck their world!
Get your tinfoil hats on, lads, because we are getting into wacky YouTube fact-checker territory. Alex Jones' NWO Wars is a side-scrolling shooter title, which combines run-and-gun gameplay, with more conspiracy than the average YouTube comment section. In this game, you play the titular water filter salesman himself, as he attempts to take down the shadow government controlling the world. This quest takes you to varied locations, from the covered labs of China, to the holiday destination of the stars on Epstein's Island, to San Francisco, where people shit out of their mouths, for some reason. Gameplay is comparable to titles like Metal Slug or Cuphead, offering the player a number of weapons such as machine guns and flammer throwers, which are used to mow through waves of enemies across a linear stage. These enemies include the homeless, skeletons for some reason, and of course the oft-memed gay frogs. Occasionally it mixes up this formula, with boss fights against the Zuck, biblically accurate Hillary Clinton, and what the game dubs
The Rapist,
amongst others. It also gets really fucking weird, exemplified by the bizarre segment where you ride Joe Rogan as a fucking centaur.
In this incredibly diverse universe, with all these dimensions above and below and all around us, with consciousnesses.
While this could be the recipe for a fun little title, NWO Wars has quite a few fundamental flaws. This should not be surprising, however, coming from a man who sells a documentary that you can't even watch. Gameplay is painfully basic, offering 4 weapons across the game's 5 total levels, while offering no actual challenge. This extends to the boss fights, with only this egad-looking fucker giving me any issues, if only because of the slow unresponsive controls. These issues are the basis for some truly uninspired gameplay, which gets old real quick. Call this shit knockout sleep support. Despite the gameplay issues, the game's biggest issue is somehow its length. This game is offensively short, with playthroughs clocking in at a whopping 35 minutes, excluding piss breaks. Now this would be fine if it was free, or priced like the classic Ukrainian Ball in Search of Gas. Unfortunately, NWO Wars is being sold on Steam, that bastion of quality, for £14, or $17.76 in freedom money. Though I suppose Mr. Jones must pay his debts somehow. But tell me in the comments, what else costs £14 that would give you 35 minutes of fun? But behave yourselves. This is a Christian channel.
I will eat your ass first.
If you've managed to make it through all that weird shit, you might just have some questions. Why does this game exist? Why the fuck did I pay £14 for it? And is there anything that saves this title from being complete dogshit? The first 2 questions are simple. Firstly, Alex Jones needs cash, lest he ends up living in a cardboard box. Secondly, I didn't pay for it, a friend gifted it to me, while presumably drunk at 1 in the morning. However, I think the one redeeming feature of NWO Wars, and what makes the game somewhat worthwhile, is how perfectly it encapsulates Alex Jones as a character. NWO Wars is an over-the-top experience that is as crazy as it is loud and ridiculous, like an explosion in a fireworks factory. As brief as it is, and it is brief, NWO Wars is a beautifully absurd spectacle, unlike any I have experienced, and was insane enough to stop me from quitting altogether. The boss fights are the high point of this, and are about the only thing incentivizing you to keep playing, if only to see the next potentially libelous depiction of a notable political figure. It was weird how Zuckerberg was the only one unchanged though. That's just what he looks like normally.
I am from my backyard, where I am smoking a brisket and some ribs.
NWO Wars is surprisingly competent in terms of its presentation, especially considering its development by a small indie studio that, frankly, I don't believe even exists. The graphics are actually quite charming in a way, like a mix between a classic Flash game and a David Dees image, with quality sprite work across the various characters, enemies, and backgrounds, even if they did make Tucker Carlson look like a creepy ventriloquist doll. But then again, given the game only has 5 levels, I suppose they had time to make sure they really nailed the Epstein MT Rushmore backdrop on level 3. The game's soundtrack is also pretty decent, representing another of the few high points of this title. while occasionally drowned out by all the Second Amendment happening on screen. NWO Wars soundtrack is a cacophony of guitars, which I can only describe as really fucking cool. Outside of the music, I would be remiss to not mention the vocal performance of Alex Jones himself,
Destroy the child. Corrupt them all.
who in true Alex Jones fashion, alternates between yelling memes and complete nonsense, and dishing out legit conspiracy theories. Here are some of my favorites.
The lottery is rigged. Paul McCartney died 50 years ago. Jeffrey Epstein may be dead, but his island is still ripe and full of pedophiles and satanic child sacrifice.
Overall, I find myself quite conflicted about Alex Jones' NWO Wars. It is a truly flawed game, bordering on completely terrible, but it is also a one-of-a-kind gaming experience, and a mental one at that. I think I'd only recommend buying if it were massively reduced in price, or if possible, having an inebriated friend to do it for you. Anyway, I'll be off now. Things have gotten a little bit desperate, so we're now offering 85% off on Giga Brodic beginning pills. Please buy them, I'm several $billion in the hole.